Hey guys, Bret Mix here, Macho Wrestling 101, Macho Madness. Hit like and subscribe if you like my videos. I do history of wrestling videos every day, and I also stay up to date with Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-views, so if you hit the subscribe button, I would really appreciate that. Today we got SummerSlam 1997 from the Continental Airlines Arena in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Took place on Sunday night, August 3rd, 1997. Vince McMahon, Jerry Lawler, and Jim Ross were the commentators, and they start off with the blue steel cage surrounding ringside. I love that steel cage. That's my favorite of all of the black one. Then the black bar cage they have at St. Valentine's Day Massacre, or the fence they do nowadays. I like the blue bars. That's just classic, and it just seems like the bumps are that much better on the blue bar. We started it off with Hunter Hearst Helmsley versus Mankind in the blue bar steel cage. Triple H, known as Hunter Hearst Helmsley still at this time, had Chyna with him, and Chyna stood outside the cage, but she would still be a factor. These guys beat the hell out of each other for the few months in 1997, actually all the way into the fall of 1997, because they had that hardcore match on September 1st or 2nd of 97, the same Raw where Austin first stuns McMahon, the Cactus Jack, and Foley had his Cactus Jack character. Anyway, that's just later on. This rivalry between the two took place all the way from the finals of the King of the Ring 1997 all the way to this SummerSlam match and then beyond, as I just mentioned. This steel cage match was more than just the ending, which is what it's remembered for. But Foley dives off. He goes to show that Dude Love heart on his chest as he goes for the flying elbow off the top. The heart was actually messed up though in the match. Sweat and everything broke it off, so you couldn't see much. But yeah, he hit a flying elbow from the top of the cage after he won the match. But that's not all this match consisted of. This match was pretty brutal with shots, bumps to the head, Foley taking full body bumps to the cage. Chyna shoving the cage on his head. My God, that must have broke some brain cells. That was really vicious. Anyway, I give this match 3 stars 3/4. Mankind got to the floor first at 16:13, and then started to dance around like Dude Love, as he was metamorphosizing into Dude Love and Cactus Jack in this year of 1997. His split personality would be out soon. He had more than 2 personalities. Anyway, borderline classic match here. Great cage match. And it opened up SummerSlam. Next, we had Pillman versus Goldust. Marlena was in Goldust's corner, but for the month or so after this, she wouldn't be. They would have a feud over Marlena. Terry Reynolds, she had a history with Brian Pillman before the relationship, so this was really hard on Goldust, Dustin Rhodes. It was really hard on him, the storyline, because it mimicked real life. And the storyline here was if Pillman lost, he would have to wear a dress the next night on Raw. So there was a mannequin at ringside with the same dress that he'd have to wear. And Pillman wasn't a fan of it, so he ripped it in half. Pillman was late into his career, obviously with the injuries he's had. He wasn't his full Brian Pillman at this point. He was just a washed up Brian Pillman, which is hard to say and hard to hear because I love Brian Pillman, but even he knew he was past his best days. His mind was there, his character was there, the genius was there, but his body wouldn't keep up with it. That's the best way to say it, and it's a damn shame because he was one of the best. You can credit Austin's creativity, his passion, Austin's attitude towards Brian Pillman. Pillman came up with ways for Austin to cut promos. In their days of the Hollywood Blondes, Austin would study from Pillman. Just Pillman was the Attitude Era before the Attitude Era. This whole show was like a prelude to the Attitude Era, if it's not already in the Attitude Era. So, Pillman was a big part of that, and he could have been a huge part. So it's really sad to see him in his final days here. This would be his last SummerSlam and his second last pay-per-view altogether. He only had a couple months after this. Goldust, though, got the victory at 7:17 as the ref didn't see the shot with the purse to Brian Pillman by Marlena. This match, I give it 2 stars just for the effort for Brian Pillman. It wasn't the greatest match. It wasn't even a good match, but the effort was there, and I like I say, I'm a big Brian Pillman fan, so I'll give it 2 stars. Might be a bit biased on that one. Maybe it's about a star and a half of quality, but I give it 2 stars just for the entertaining dress gimmick storyline going with it. Next, we had LOD versus the Godwins. The Godwins were now heels. LOD is over as hell. LOD, they get the victory at 9:15. This came after a Doomsday Device to Henry. Then they hit a spike pile driver. Hawk hit a spike pile driver to Henry. This came after one of them broke their neck on the ramp, so the neck was a huge target. I give this match a star and a quarter. It was a formula tag match, and it didn't pick up for any part. There was a hot tag to Hawk, obviously, in the middle, which is just standard at this point. But the LOD, they didn't wrestle in the greatest of matches. They're just over with the crowd, and they hit their spots, and that's that. And they call it a day, which is what happened here. But their match star rating wise isn't very high. They're past their prime, but they know how to make the crowd pop, which is the main thing that mattered here. So it might have a low star rating, but it did its job, if that makes any sense. I give the match a star and a half. Up next, we got the European title on the line when the Bulldog defends against Ken Shamrock. This one was a good power match. Both guys were on top of their game. Shamrock was still learning the WWF style, how to work matches, while the Bulldog was there to help in the meantime. Shamrock tried to fight back. Bulldog threw him out of the ring. A couple of body slams. He grabbed dog food. I think the loser had to eat dog food too. If Bulldog lost, he had to eat dog food. There was a lot of weird stipulations on this night with dresses, dog food, kissing people's asses. There's a lot of weird storyline. This, you can tell the Attitude Era was just on the neck, knocking the door on the Attitude Era. So he grabbed some dog food and put it in Shamrock's face. And then Shamrock snapped and he went crazy and he started suplexing refs, and the Bulldog won by DQ. So I gave this 2 stars just for the entertainment sake of Shamrock snapping, and it was a good power match between both guys. It was. So yeah, two stars for that. Next up, we had Los Boricuas, Jesus Costello, Jose Estrada, Miguel Perez, and Savio Vega versus Crush, Chains, 8-Ball, and Skull of the DOA, Disciples of Apocalypse. So that's an 8-man tag for you. This match was slow and it was pretty terrible. I give this match a half a star. It was 10 minutes too long. Perez at the end dropped an elbow on Chains for the victory. And the DOA tried to kick out, but they didn't. They were too late in the process. Los Boricuas went over the DOA, and then they all brawl, leading to their Survivor Series match probably. The WCW at the time had the NWO, the LWO, so the WWF needed gangs. Plus Survivor Series was around the corner, so gang rules. So there you go. Half a star for that match. Next up, we had Owen Hart versus a red hot Stone Cold Steve Austin. Austin rising in popularity and are also rising as one of the best in the business because of his ability to work on the mat and his ability to brawl. He had a great mixture. Unfortunately, this would be the last night of that Steve Austin's career. That Steve Austin that was so great on the mat and at brawling as well. He'd bring this Austin back when he was a heel in 2001, and he did his best at it, and it was brilliant, but the red hot prime of Steve Austin's in-ring career was 1997, and just watch this match for further proof on that until it ends anyway. Unfortunately, one of the worst things to happen to Austin, or to the WWF for that matter, would be to get Austin a significant injury, and unfortunately that's what happens here. Owen Hart screwed up, and it's a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. I'm not just saying that to be nice to Owen posthumously. I would have said this if I was doing this review in 1998, a year before Owen Hart died. I would say the same thing. Everybody makes mistakes. I wouldn't have been like, oh, damn Owen Hart. Everybody who's... I even say people make mistakes with Goldberg for kicking Bret Hart in the head. He's a dumb fuck thing to do, and there's a big difference between Goldberg and Owen Hart. But Owen, I blame how fast the body weight transfer was. Because if you watch what happened, Owen had Austin had Owen like this in a tombstone, and they transferred each other's body weight to the canvas. So when Owen was in the air, he went back to his feet, and when he was on his feet, he didn't know how low Austin's head was. Had he known, he wouldn't have hit him with the pile driver that way, because Owen did close his legs like he was supposed to, but unfortunately Austin's head was underneath, and he didn't know that because they transferred body weight. But that's just the end of the match. We all know Austin rolled up Owen Hart to win the IC title in the weird finish that they had to figure out a way to do because of the Kiss My Ass storyline. Owen lost at 16-16. I believe the match was supposed to go on probably 5 or 10 minutes longer, based on the Hart Undertaker match going a bit long. So Stone Cold won the IC title, but before the injury, I went over the injury. Before the injury, this match was great. Owen was going for Austin's hand, the middle finger hand, so he wouldn't have to lift the middle finger. He was going, and the stunner arm, trying to break the stunner arm. Owen was just such a good heel, and Austin was just, he hated being a face at the time, but he was just so over, and every single move mattered, and they wrestled a great match, and it's such a shame that it had to end the way it did, but I still rate this match 3.5 stars. If anything, if this didn't have the ending it had, this could have been a 4.5 star match. It's that good before the injury, and it's pretty underrated because nobody will ever talk about the quality of the match is, because what's there to talk about other than that match? Unless you're a pure wrestling fan, you don't care how good the match is before the injury. You just care about the injury. But if you're rewatching it and you like in-ring quality, then yes, you'll enjoy the first 10-15 minutes of that match. So yeah, 3.5 stars for that. Next we go into Shawn Michaels being the referee between Undertaker defending the title against Bret Hart. Hart's a heel, Shawn's a tweener, Undertaker's a face. This happened in USA, so Bret Hart's the heel. If Bret loses, he can't wrestle in the USA anymore, and if Undertaker loses, Bret's the new 5-time WWF champion. Shawn Michaels was the referee, though, and with the history between him and Hart, how was Shawn going to call it down the middle? Those were all the questions we had going into the match, and this is a classic. Is it on par with their one-night-only match in the UK? No. I think that's 4 stars and 3/4. But what do I think of this match? 4 stars and a half all day long. Some people think this match dragged on. I love the methodical leg work Bret did to Undertaker. Kept him off his vertical base, softened him up for the sharpshooter. It all was logical. If it follows a strategic formula, it doesn't matter how slow it is. Do you go and watch a UFC fight, and then if somebody has somebody in a rear naked choke or a front face lock, do you complain about how boring it is? No. That's why you're supposed to suspend your disbelief. If people are if it's different if it's Jake the Snake and Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 5 and one guy's got a sleeper hold on another guy for 10 minutes and they're not doing anything. That's different. This was Bret. I don't know if he applied an Indian Deathlock, but he grapevine the leg. He did a lot of lower body work, and it all made sense. It was all logical. It wasn't as slow as the Rumble '96 match. That's even slower, but I even liked that. So anything with Bret Hart, there's a method behind the madness. He's the excellence of execution for a reason. And the Undertaker, when he fought back quick. He wasn't in the zombie mode. So this was an entertaining Undertaker to watch wrestle. The match went 28-10, and Bret ended up spitting in Shawn's face. Shawn had the chair and was accusing Bret. And then Bret Hart ducked as Shawn went to hit Bret after the spit. And then Shawn hit Taker. Bret covered Undertaker at 28-10, becoming a 5-time WWF champion. And I rated it 4.5 stars. That might be a lot high, and maybe it is a bit high. Maybe this is probably a 4-star match. I just rated 4.5 stars. I'm biased, and I put about a half a star if it's two of my favorites, or if I just had a really fun time watching it. I add a half a point. I feel that's fair. Whether other people do that or not is not my concern. It's really subjective at the end of the day, these star ratings. So nobody should be mad at them because we all can have our own. But that's just my system. I generally tend to stay straight away from being biased in my ratings. But if it's two of my favorites going at it and they have great chemistry, yeah, I'll add maybe a half a point. Alright, so that's SummerSlam 1997. I rate the event a 7 out of 10. Just because of it, the Attitude Era just starting to come on, and the two classic main event matches, the undercard being pretty good too. Nothing terrible on the show. Just awesome opening cage match. 7 out of 10, just barely, for SummerSlam 1997. I'm Bret Mix, and we'll see you on the highway to hell at SummerSlam 98. Take care, everyone. I'm out.